All right, now we are all a part of a generation. If you're 19 like I am, you're Gen Z. I think Gen Z goes all the way to like 27 or 28 or something like that. I know Gen Alpha is like right now, I don't know exactly, but I'm assuming it's like maybe 12 and under. I don't know. Point is, we're all of a part of a generation. You got Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and then you got above Gen Z, you got, I think, millennials, and then you got Gen X, and then you got baby boomers, and then just old heads, honestly, which most people nowadays refer to old people as Unc or OG or you know, other things. But yeah, point is, we're all of a part of the generation. But something that you don't think about and that we don't think about is baby boomers and older people have a lot of the country's wealth. A lot of people that are older have a lot of money because it was a lot easier to get back then and things were a lot cheaper. Nowadays, to even rent an apartment, you need a down payment of $8,000 for a 1-bedroom apartment. Now, of course, I'm blowing it out of proportion. It's more like 2,000, but the point is, still expensive. Back then, you could buy a house probably for $15,000 and a car for $2,000. Nowadays, you might as well just live in a storage unit. So yeah, today I found a video called "Baby Boomers, the Most Selfish Generation." So we're gonna check it out. I'll leave it in the description below. Hope you guys are having a good day. Join my Discord and link in the description, and leave video recommendations in the video. Suggest a tab. Let's check it out.
According to the Federal Reserve, baby boomers have officially become the richest generation to ever live, holding over 51% of the nation's total wealth. And as emerging generation,
well, they're all slowly dying, so that should go to us, right? Or will it go to back to the government
and
so they can buy another boat?
At a national debt set to grow by 63% within the next decade, a collapsing job market, record housing prices, and a cost of living crisis. It raises a question: why did the richest generation in history sell out the nation's future? While baby boomers came of age during an era when a part-time minimum wage job,
damn, she pretty,
sell out the nation's,
I'm sorry, but
future. While baby boomers came of age during an era,
that is a woman, right?
Or
did I just discover something about myself?
Part-time minimum wage job could cover the full cost of college tuition. Lifelong careers were often
if it's a man, he's very handsome.
Secured by a
handshake. Not in a attractive. You know what? Let's just
housing prices were so low that nearly half of all 27-year-olds owned a home. The reality is that this image of generational prosperity
27 years old. You're 27 years old with a house. Most 27-year-olds nowadays are at home or bankrupt or in jail or something.
Never shared.
It's better to live in jail than
all baby boomers. When looking at how the generation's $85 trillion in total wealth is actually distributed, a level that is structurally impossible for any other living generation to achieve, nearly 3/4 of it is held by just the top 10% within the generation, where the responsibility for the nation's economic trajectory and theft of its future truly resides. Much of that concentration traces back to their parents' access to the GI Bill, which functioned less as a universal benefit and more as a sorting mechanism that shaped the economic outcomes of the largest generation in American history. For families excluded from the GI Bill, the post-war promise never materialized. Black veterans were routinely denied access through discriminatory lending, segregated universities, and local VA offices that refused to process applications, while rural veterans often lacked the educational institutions, banks, and infrastructure necessary to meaningfully utilize the benefits at all. Of the 2.7 million Americans who served in the Vietnam War, roughly 80% were baby boomers from poor working-class families unable to afford college deferment, only to return home to a nation already facing economic stagnation. But for the families who benefited, baby boomers were raised in conditions that marked a historic rise from scarcity, defined by comfort, attention, and material abundance. The sheer size of the generation,
if you brought people from this time to today's world, they would be so disappointed.
Combined with this economic leverage, shifted industry.
Also, if they had to live in our world, they would not be like chilling on the couch. Like, this is like the American dream right here. You know, like driving a Ford, mom's got her own like minivan, dad's got his little truck. You know, like they're watching. Oh, look at the latest and greatest technology, son. Look at the they call this a television. It's got motion picture on it. Woohoo!
To fundamentally curate the economy around their wants and
black and white
expectations. At the same time, prevailing psychological thought urged parents to treat children as
those are the stupidest glasses I've ever seen in my life. I'm sorry.
Same time,
my God, why are those so small?
Prevailing psychological.
They look like what are you doing? Can you even see?
Urged parents to treat children as equals. And
he can only see what's in front of him.
Challenging adult authority as healthy self-expression, reinforcing a worldview in which accommodation was not a privilege, but a requirement. What European observers at the time would simply describe as spoiled. Cultural historian Lawrence Samuel noted that Europeans who worked as camp counselors in the United States during the late 1950s were often taken back by the brashness of American children.
That sounds like such a cool job, a camp counselor someone's got to make a game like that. Like, it's like a game based in like the forest. It's like got like the camping vibe to it. It's like you're like somebody's got to make an indie game like that. Like you're like a summer camp counselor in like 1957 or sometime around then, and then there's like a horror aspect to it. That would be super cool.
Describing them as
hope there's a game dev watching this.
And superficially self-assured, with respect granted to adults only when authority had to be earned. Having fun mattered above all else, and the word spoiled appeared more frequently than any other descriptor. Counselors observed that American children were already highly materialistic, more interested in cars, television, and business than their European counterparts.
Business? What child is into business? Oh yeah, we got to up sales by 3% this week. I think most children are into, cars, television, business.
With parental affection often expressed.
We have to export site like talking business.
Rather than restraint, contributing to the early labeling of young baby boomers as the me generation, defined by coddling, pampering, and self-serving priorities. While these same accusations
if they think they're spoiled back then, they ought to see it now. They would have a heart attack looking at an 8-year-old with an iPhone 25 with... Like little kids got a phone, an iPad, a VR, a PlayStation 5, Xbox, got everything. A new pair of shoes.
Only be redirected to
kids are so materialistic nowadays.
Every emerging generation.
I would say even more than back. Well, definitely more than back then.
The more economically relevant reality is that many maintain those same self-serving attitudes as they rose into positions of power. Despite often being defined by their countercultural revolution, early baby boomers ultimately embraced the very material comforts they protested against. One younger boomer, interviewed by the American Prospect, blatantly acknowledged the hypocrisy of older counterparts, stating, "They always talk about how they marched and protested, and now they're the same ones who are stepping over homeless people to buy Rolexes," where that abandonment of principle was reinforced by the extraordinary economic opportunity they entered adulthood with. A 1966 Business Week report noted, employers were resorting to gimmicks to lure sorely needed workers from other companies and other countries, with Ford and others even combing Appalachia and the Ozarks in search of coon and squirrel hunters, allowing early boomers to rapidly move into high-paying corporate and financial roles, marking the rise of the yuppie era, defined by the expansion of Wall Street's influence, the prioritization of short-term profits, and the adoption of shareholder value as the dominant corporate objective. Under this boomer leadership, corporate raiding became the prevailing business model. Companies were acquired and stripped for assets, divisions deemed unprofitable were shuttered, and large-scale layoffs accelerated the deindustrialization of the United States as production shifted overseas and capital flowed into financial markets. Organized labor was simultaneously undermined, with one anti-union consultant writing in the Wall Street Journal that the current government and business climate presents a unique opportunity for companies to develop and implement long-term plans for conducting business in a union-free environment, arguing that the critical test was whether management had the intellectual discipline and foresight to capitalize on this rare moment in our history, a moment that revealed that despite openly recognizing the failures within American society and later holding the institutional power to address them, they instead chose to dismantle the very systems designed to serve the public while pulling up the ladder for every emerging generation behind them. This lack of future investment.
Well, yeah, that's most of modern day history. Just leave it to the other people. Forget climate change. Let's just let the people in the future deal with it. We don't care right now. It's fine.
First fell directly onto those born into the later half of the cohort, often referred to as Generation Jones, who entered adulthood in a fundamentally different economy than those who defined the generation's reputation. Job security never existed for them. They graduated into a labor market already framing entry-level work as obsolete, where wage stagnation collided almost immediately with rising inflation and a deepening distrust in American institutions. The presidency was not defined by JFK, but by Tricky Dick, Watergate, and the realization that government power was far more capable of protecting itself than serving the public. Watching early boomers abandon their countercultural ideals for material reward, Generation Jones did not see reform as attainable, but instead looked inward towards self-preservation and career survival. A mindset further shaped by the constant threat of nuclear war and a growing sense that the future was no longer guaranteed. In a letter to President Kennedy, one child wrote, "I am 9 years old. I don't like the plans you are planning. I am too young to die." Another 11-year-old asked,
"Wow, put that Put that 9-year-old in today's world and see what they say. My God.
What would be left of this
They might just go ahead and end it for themselves.
wonderful world in 10 years if someone presses the button? According to Awaiting Armageddon, teachers reported a noticeable shift in student artwork, particularly in a rise of mushroom clouds. Beside a drawing of an explosion, one 6-year-old girl submitted a self-portrait of her own death. A common joke during these years was, what do you want to be if you grow up? While others openly said that if they learned the bomb was coming, they would run outside and stand in it rather than duck and cover. And when the largest generation in history grows up believing there is no future, while those in power dismantle the institutions that once made long-term planning possible, short-term survival replaces long-term responsibility. Institutions that
Donald Trump
once made
Donald Trump.
long-term planning
People tell me I have a good Donald Trump impression.
possible. Short-term survival replaces long-term responsibility, setting the stage for political decisions detached from the financial well-being of future generations. And to ensure I'm planning not just for my financial well-being, but for the future, this is why I use Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you save more, spend less. Sponsoring this video.
I'm just joking.
Now, despite
As soon as a company hits me up for a sponsorship, you know I'm on it. I've had offers, but I've never actually took one.
representing just 20% of the population.
Not here on TikTok and on my other channel, but go check out that too. Go check out my gaming channel, link in the description, and go check out my TikTok account because a lot of you guys don't even know that I post on TikTok.
Members still account for 43% of all members of the 119th U.S. Congress. They hold 39% of the seats in the House, marking the
silent generation, boomer, 1928 to 1945. Yeah, that is silent. What's that? How old would you have to be the oldest in the silent generation? Okay, 1945, that's what? 55 years ago from 2000. 55 plus 26 is what? 71? I think. I don't know. So the youngest you would have to be is 71. Boomer, Gen Z after 1996. Where's Gen Alpha at? We're not recognizing Gen Alpha. Okay. Wow, so you could have been born in 1996 and still be Gen Z? That's crazy. So it's millennials, Gen X. Wow, my parents are Gen X. It's crazy. 1965 to 1980. Wow. It's crazy. I bet it was so cool to see the world go from 19 to 2000. I bet that was so cool to see the calendar just flip to 2000. Like we will never get to see it go to 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000, but some people got to witness it change over. That's crazy.
Time in decades that Generation X.
I didn't. I was not born. I was not
born
in I was born before 2000. So
controlling nearly
after 2000
60% of the Senate, ensuring that long-term policymaking remains concentrated in the hands of a cohort approaching retirement rather than the generations expected to live with its consequences. And when political power is held by a generation that never had to seriously plan for a diminished future, it becomes easier to understand why American policy has trapped the nation in endless remembrance rather than deliberate planning. In the 1980 campaign slogan, "Let's Make America Great Again," Ronald Reagan promised to get the government off the backs of the American people while restoring national prosperity. In practice, this meant dismantling many of the institutional guardrails that had protected workers throughout the post-war era. He slashed the top marginal tax rate from 70% to 28%, weakening the progressive tax structure that had funded middle-class growth. In 1981, he fired more than 11,000 striking air traffic controllers, sending a clear national signal that breaking unions was no longer a political risk, but an acceptable business strategy. His administration deregulated finance, telecommunications, transportation, and energy, laying the groundwork for the corporate consolidation that would define the next 4 decades. And under the banner of free trade, Reagan and those who followed embraced a global economic model that rewarded companies for moving production overseas in pursuit of cheaper labor, shifting the long-term costs onto workers and
that is so messed up. Yeah, if we make stuff here, we actually have to pay people good wages. But if we do it over there, we can pay children 2 cents a day to work. Like that is so sick.
Generations. And did baby boomers hold Reagan accountable for not upholding his end of the bargain? No, they voted for him again. Of the 16.1 million jobs added during Reagan's presidency, 12.5 million were concentrated in low-wage sectors like retail, janitorial work, and food service. When Bill Clinton became the first baby boomer president in history and signified the final nail in the coffin for America's manufacturing base,
is he still alive?
Boomers stand up and fight for their jobs, or the implications of a weakened manufacturing?
Is Ronald Reagan still alive? He is not. He died in '04. Holy hell, he was born in 1911. Okay, well, no, yeah. '04. That's crazy.
Power? No, they voted for him again. Of the 22 million
I didn't know he was a Republican. That's why I was confused when I saw the Republican logo. Did Ronald Reagan support the LGBTQ?
Created during Clinton's presidency, an estimated 40 to 45%.
That was the first question that popped up.
Were concentrated in low-skill, low-wage service work, with most of the so-called high-wage gains coming not from a stronger labor market, but from the temporary speculation of the dot-com bubble. And while the 1990s are still often cited as a period of rising incomes, much of that growth was driven by Americans simply working more. By 1998, the typical middle-income family worked a combined 3,885 hours per year, an increase of 247 hours, or roughly 6 additional weeks compared to 1989. International data shows that US workers put in more hours annually than workers in every advanced economy except for Portugal, all while capturing just 3% of stock market gains and absorbing nearly 40% of the historic rise in consumer debt. When the nation's workforce was gutted by the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression, followed by a $700 billion bailout of the very institutions that caused it, did baby boomers ride in the streets alongside their Gen X and millennial counterparts? No, they dismissed it as just another wave of spoiled kids indulging in political theater while lacking any serious or constructive agenda. And due to this severe delay in wealth accumulation, millennials now represent roughly 20% of the population while holding just $18 trillion in
$85 trillion in assets.
Total wealth, compared to baby boomers, who also represent about 20% of the population, but control more than $85 trillion.
Baby boomers make up 20. Wow, baby boomers make up 20% of the population. That's crazy. I did not think there were that many of them left. That sounds bad. I mean, I guess it's not the silent generation, so wow.
And even when it comes to something as basic as Gen Z, their own children and grandchildren now facing these same structural realities of a hollowed-out entry-level job market, historic housing prices, a declining dollar, a cost of living crisis.
Yeah, everything is going up, but the people making money are getting paid less, or not less, but they're not getting the cost of living is going up, but the actual wages are staying the same. So it's like, how are you supposed to? In 2012, I mean, it wasn't perfect, but it was better than it is now. You could rent an apartment for $800 a month, which is not bad. You could live. Nowadays it's double, even more. Like gas prices. Oh my God.
Inflation and wars looming on the horizon. Has there been any effort to offer some guidance, some protection, some long-term planning? No. Instead, they are framed as just another wave of lazy, spoiled kids. And while
them lazy, spoiled kids always on them cell phones. When I was 12 years old, I used to work at the McDonald's. I used to get paid 75 cents an hour. And guess what? I bought my house for $17.
While it was a relatively small cohort of baby boomers who directly dismantled post-war prosperity and entrenched decades of self-indulgent policy, the largest generation in American history cannot be absolved of responsibility simply because they didn't just sign the checks or write the laws. Because at the end of the day, nothing was done to stop it from happening. And if we don't hold this lack of action accountable, then it gives us an out to simply repeat history once again, signaling that while America can continue to live on as a global shell company, for it to actually become great again, it must be
This is literally, I mean, a great representation of what Subway, like, just feeding you stuff. I mean, like, my God.
To live on as a global shell
this is the real rat race right
company.
Here.
For it to actually become great again, it must be rebuilt in service of future generations, demanding that we find hope and accountability in one another, using whatever strength we have left to redefine what it truly means to be an American. And so what I hope that we're beginning to recognize is that this blanketed hate and resentment and societal claims of selfishness towards the baby boomer generation do have merits of truth. It's important that we begin to actually dissect and understand why it is that we feel that way. Because if we don't learn from what it is that we're frustrated at, we're going to just continue to repeat history. Future generations are only going to keep having it worse. And we have to stop that from happening. It is up to us to stop the can from getting kicked down the road. A large portion of this video was inspired by a conversation I just had with my dad. I was on the phone with him and he said, the older that I get, the more that I really resent being a part of the baby boomer generation. So he is Gen Jones, right on the cusp of Gen X. So again, he didn't experience the prosperity that we kind of push onto the baby boomer generation. And he said, I vividly remember being younger and watching the hippies sell out on what it is that they were fighting for and go out and start to gut the system. I mean, those were his exact words. And he said, the hypocrisy of my generation. And I think that is really important to understand because in many ways, I would say, at least for myself,
well, that's just a rare case right there.
If you kind of just left me alone, I would at least not be as frustrated. If it wasn't actively, me starting to ask some questions, trying to understand, hey, what's going on? Hey, I don't think that this is right. I don't think that, homelessness should be increasing and childhood poverty should be increasing and child labor should be having a massive resurgence. And I bring these things to the table and then I get called lazy and entitled and all of these different things. And
yeah,
so
you just soft.
I hear that
soft,
and
boy. Understand
you guys went through the exact same thing. It's unbelievably frustrating. And so what really happened was this small but powerful cohort of the baby boomer generation went out and protested and revolted. And because it didn't go their way, like immediately, well, they decided nobody else is going to be able to have it. And we're still paying the price for that. But most importantly, not only are we paying the price economically, but we're paying it in terms of like personal fulfillment, what I would argue the real reason that we're here on Earth for, or, in America for. I think that what we really have to understand is that I almost feel like our society, our economy is built for you to have like these slivers of opportunities to get filthy rich. Everything is about leverage and volatility and optimization and risk and selling your soul to get every last dollar and stepping over people and squashing ideas. It's not for like family development or personal fulfillment or having a job just so you can live. Like none of that exists anymore. And so I want to read a comment that I just got on my channel because I think that it's one of the most beautiful and tragic things that I've read, but it really solidifies what it is that we are now missing, what I think was really sold out here in America, at least. All I want in life is to just have someone to hold hands with when I go grocery shopping. I don't even have any dreams. I just want a little bit of love. Everything is just so empty now. And so,
yeah, that definitely is a bit depressing.
What is really important for us to understand from that is that no matter what age that person was that commented, we all understand that. Every one of us can relate to that. All of us just want a little bit of love. And so it is up to us. It is.
You better say bless you.
Up to, the Gen X as they rise into power and millennials. And I think Gen Z especially, because we have that youth. We have that sense of, hey, things aren't working. And we're a little bit more capable on the internet or on social media. It is really up to us to say, this can is not going to be kicked down the road. We have to stop thinking as much about what our needs are and what Gen Alpha's needs are and their kids and our grandkids and, all these other aspects.
Everyone's just trying to survive. Like, you can't even worry about them. I mean, it's sad to say, but like, you can't, like, nowadays times are so hard that you can't think about your grandchildren, especially if you had like nothing left behind, like if you come from like lines of poverty, like where you have the people behind you didn't do anything. They just lived and they didn't leave you anything, or like you had nothing to fall back on. Like that just makes it even harder, dude.
There has to be somebody that puts their foot down and says, no more. It's like the Lorax. Every single tree has been chopped down and sold, and now they're trying to take the ground right out from underneath us. And there has to be, at some point, we begin to use our voices and we begin to say, this is unacceptable. The corporations will continue to sell garbage if we consume it. And the government will continue to steal from us and lie to us and do all of those things if they don't feel like we won't hold them accountable. And so we have to start demanding change. Now, one of the things is that I think our society is, well, what can I do that creates the change, right? Like, I need to join the movement. I need to build the app, the business, say the thing. We just have to do our part. You know, for me, it's the channel, but it has taken years for me to work up to this point. And I don't know where it is that I'm going to go with this, but I'm going to continue to do my best. And the only thing that I do with this channel is I just go out every single day and I try to provide value. I respect your time. I respect what it is that you have going on in your life. And I try to provide you value in the little bit of time that I have. But out in the real world, this is something that I've just recently noticed. I've been going to the exact same gym since I was 18. I've gone there when my grandpa died. I've gone there with the loss of two of very close friends. I've gone there on some of my best days, some of my worst days, some of my accomplishments. You know, you name it, I've gone there. There is this chair or this desk and these chairs right when you walk in through the doors, right in front of the front desk. Since I've been going, those chairs have been like everywhere other than the table. Nobody pushes their chairs in. And, you know, I always thought the first thing that you walk into is you see a mess. You see laziness. You see, a lack of respect for your environment. And the first thing that you see when you're walking out the door is the exact same thing. And so what I started doing is every time I walk in, I push the chairs in. And every time I walk out, I push the chairs in. And I've been doing it for years. I just noticed here recently, I walk in, the chairs are pristine. I walk out, the chairs are pristine. I don't have to do it anymore. And now I don't know if it was because I did it enough that the front desk started to recognize, hey, let's do it a little bit, let's hold ourselves a little bit accountable. I don't know if it was, just seeing somebody continuously push the chairs in. They thought, this guy's kind of weird. We got to make sure that we take care of him. Or it was just this sense of,
probably that one.
If I hold my life with respect, other people almost kind of rise to the occasion. What if there was other individuals too that were thinking the exact same thing? I have to make sure that I push these chairs in. I know that we're just talking about chairs. When in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't make much of a difference, but it's a way for us to be able to show up. Who knows what somebody was thinking when they walked in the gym? They're already frustrated. Then they look at the chairs. Oh, this place doesn't respect themselves. I don't respect myself. Look at what is, all of these things. We can fall into this negative trap so quickly. What if you can just plant a seed of kindness, a seed of accountability, a seed of respect? You can make a massive difference. I am just one person. It's, I think, 1 a.m. I've spent all day working and I'm talking in front of a camera. And I would say that I think that I'm making a change. I don't know if it's a grand change, but if I'm able to help one person, just one person, and they're able to go on and help another person or, be able to just feel a little bit better about themselves, that's a ripple of hope. That makes a difference. So do what it is that you can do to make a change. Stop pointing fingers. I understand that there is, if you're going to point a finger, at least understand why you're pointing it and make sure that you're learning from that. Don't just say, these people suck and go on about your life. It doesn't make a difference. We have to start actively thinking, what can I do to start planting seeds for trees that will be able to give shade for the future generations? That's how we have to start thinking.
That's a great analogy.
I'm going to do everything that I can to ensure that happens. So thank you all so much for your time. If this video provided value to you, if you don't mind to just like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I'm doing everything that I can. I am spending like every moment of my waking hours just dedicating to trying to do the best that I can of learning and finding ways to communicate these things in a way that we can all kind of understand and really pursue this path towards a better tomorrow. That is what I'm really focused on. And I would really like to have you be a part of that journey. Make sure that you check out Rocket Money.
Great video.
And I guess that's about it. Thank you for the 200,000 subscribers. That is absolutely
what a great video. I think that brought a lot of light to how it kind of is here in America. Regardless of your political opinions, we can all agree on one thing, and it's that the country's not getting better, and it's probably only going to get worse. So I guess we'll see. If you liked the video, smash the like button. Let me know Let me know what I should see. I try to like talk so fast and I have so many ideas floating in my brain. Let me know what else I should react to in the comments below. Join the Discord and leave videos in the video suggestion tab. That's where I find most of the videos I react to. So yeah, I mean, this one I found on my own. Some things I just find and other things I just react to from there. So yeah, go check out the main channel or the gaming channel. Go check out the TikTok account. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the video. Smash the like button. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. Peace out.